Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to our product webinar training with AFE Power. And thank you, everyone who registered and submitted your questions. We've prepared to answer those. So today we'll have Mike Santa Cruz here, who hosts the webinars. And today we have one of our engineers, the electronics application manager, Locke or Nick Nguyen. So he manages all of the electronics from development to tech support. And our main electronic is the Scorcher, a plug and play module. We also have a sprint booster, which is a type of pedal commander. So I'm going to be moderating the event. If you have any questions, you could put them in the Q&A. We'll be going down to the questions you already submitted. And if you have any comments or anything, feel free to use the chat. Okay, Mike, Locke, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Tierney. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is our fourth in a series of product training webinars that we started up with AFE products, and we're pleased to have Locke Nguyen with us, applications engineer for electronics. So Locke or Nick, do you have preference?
Nope, no preference.
Okay. Well, welcome. Thanks for taking the time out and talking with us today. How long have you been with AFE?
I've been here since 2020, right before the start of COVID.
Oh, great timing. So you did the crash course real quick and came on board. What experience did you have prior to coming on board with AFE in terms of in your current position that would help out with the product development?
So before I started here, I was at my dad's auto repair shop, and we did a lot of electrical diagnostics. And then I went to school for electrical engineering.
Oh, nice. Right
yeah.
on.
So the automotive background just tied right into what we're doing here. So
Right.
It was a smooth transition.
They never are. That's the best way you learn, though. It's baptism by fire, as we say. So quick question regarding AFE and power modules in general, or electronics in general. How did AFE get into power modules or electronics? They're not, I mean, AFE is known for filters and intakes, and now we're known for exhaust, but, why electronics, or how?
So right around 2017, 2018, our CEO partnered up with a company in Indiana. They are a leading innovator in the agriculture and big rigs industry. The company's name is PSI Power, which stands for Power Systems Innovations. And they have a very strong foothold in the agriculture industry, work on tractors, big rigs, you name it. So our CEO saw that there was a need for plug-and-play modules that wouldn't void a warranty. That's easy for customers to install, and that gives you an extra boost right away without spending hours and hours tearing down the engine and doing all kinds of flashing and what I like to call invasive procedures done to the vehicle. So, yeah.
Well, we had other names for that back in my engine building days, but yeah, invasive would be a good term for it, especially when you get into the rotating assembly. Good. So basically, you kind of cut your teeth too with PSI Power, and in terms of them teaching you about their product knowledge and how they go developing the product as well.
Right.
Okay. So what the product Scorcher in general, these are power modules. They're not tuners or flashers or coders or anything like that. Who are they targeted towards? Like, who would want to install one of these on their vehicle?
So we target to all kinds of consumers. We got guys that daily drive the vehicle, and then we got guys that are towing heavy boats and trailers all across the country. We even have big rigs, tow trucks, even, on the power wagons, the 2500s, the 3500s, 450s, like you name it. Like we're there. So.
Okay. So from a daily driver to a workhorse vehicle to a enthusiast in general. So pretty wide market that anybody would want to do a power module.
Yeah, we even have accounts with guys that work for the fire department, putting it on the rigs. So
Nice. We'll get to
yeah,
that fire
you name it,
quicker.
we're out there. Yeah.
That's good. So helping out with the first responders. I love it.
Yeah.
How do we determine, how does AFE determine which vehicles to design the Scorcher for? Speaking of like all the wide variety of customer base that might want to get a Scorcher.
So we have different platforms, right? We have, sport compacts, we have, overlanders, we have Jeeps. So every platform has its own usage for the power modules. So before a vehicle is even released, we get invitations to the SEMA garage, and that's when we do our measurements. Getting all the information that we need for that vehicle before it even hits the market. Before that vehicle is even released, we have all of our R&D data ready to go. That way, once the vehicle hits the lot, we strive to be the first one to market and have a good offering, and then we build from there.
Okay. So when you say you go to SEMA garage for measurements, you don't physically measure the engine bay to see if a Scorcher fits. How big is a Scorcher? Is it?
Scorchers are pretty small. We're about 4 inches wide by 3 inches. They're pretty small, so they're not like a big block that you put into your engine bay. Yeah.
So it's not you're physically measuring it, but you're taking diagnostics off the factory ECU.
Right. Yeah. We take voltages, we take measurements. How long the harness needs to be. We hook up a scope to it, oscilloscope. That way we can see the waves and what kind of signals that the sensors are putting out. And that's the data that we use to in order to create tunes for them.
Okay. So does the Scorcher actually impede or interact with the ECU?
No, what the Scorcher does is that it manipulates the voltages going to the ECU. So you can manipulate a sensor into reading whatever you want it to read, and then the ECU adjusts accordingly in order to put out that extra boost that we ask it to.
Okay, so in essence, it doesn't interfere or interact with the ECU. It's just giving it different PIDs, like.
Right. Yeah. It gives it different PIDs. PIDs is what the computer reports out, to them. What the engine reports out to the computer, and then the readings are adjusted accordingly.
Okay. So and that enables you as a developer to influence the actual factory ECU to maybe give it more spark or air or fuel.
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so that seems like a really good alternative to what a lot of people were doing, flashing and tuning and piggybacking, or not piggybacking, but actually they were being invasive with the stock ECU and may cause more problems down the road.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there one type of engine that benefits more than the other from having a Scorcher installed, like gas versus diesel versus turbo?
No, so we actually tap into the what we call the NA market, which is naturally aspirated engines. For the longest time, nobody was able to do it on Toyotas. Non-turbo engines. They weren't able to do that before. We started doing that a couple years ago, as far as Tacomas and Forerunners and Nissan Titans. But all vehicles can benefit from some type of power gain, right, from the factory. They're coming out of the factory running super lean due to EPA regulations. The power is not there, and the response isn't there. So we strive to fix that.
So in a sense, what we do with intakes here at AFE, they get more air in, and with exhaust, they get more air out. You're kind of manipulating the signals to optimize this.
Correct.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that sounds pretty simple to have an easy plug and play, and it doesn't affect the ECU. So let's say I've got a 2023, 24 Camaro, not a Chevy guy, right? And I wanted to get a power module of Scorcher on there, and I have it under factory warranty, and I have it installed, and I'm having the time of my life. But then I got to bring it in for service for something unrelated. How do you address that? Does the dealership void a warranty by having that on there? Or?
No, they don't, because there's laws against it. There's the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which prevents a manufacturer from voiding a warranty just because you have something out the market. So that's in place to protect the consumer. Now, what we're doing on our side to make it easier for our customers is making the product very easy to install and then remove. We don't leave a trace on the ECU. We're not flashing the ECU because it's non-invasive, once again. So once you take it off, it's like the product was never even on your car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So simply remove the unit before bringing it in. Just
Yep.
Don't give them something to talk about. I've always told
Right.
people that, if you've got a good relationship with your dealership, they probably won't care, but they may even recommend that you take it off before bringing it in. So you don't
Yeah.
have to have that conversation at all. You just focus on whatever you're bringing the vehicle in. Okay,
Yep.
good to know. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go right into, we've got quite a few questions from quite a few people, and I think we covered some of those, Nick. So, but I wanted to kind of call on some of the reps that are out there in the industry. Some of these guys may know me, and I've worked with them in the past, and yep, I'm back. So I got some questions from John Barber at Bob Cook Sales out in Louisiana, and he's asking about, what is unique about AFE developing these Scorcher modules. I mean, there are other brands out there, right? I mean, why AFE?
Yeah. So we, our facility is huge, right? We have 40,000 square feet of, just for R&D. So all research and development is done in-house here. In Corona, California, we have about 15 engine bays that are just dedicated to R&D. Nothing else goes in there. We have our own DynoJet dyno. So our tuning is done in-house. All our testing is done in-house, whether it's for intake, exhaust, power modules, everything is done here. And, we get about at least 4 or 5 cars in each week just for testing, just for our engineers to be, developing products on. And after that, production is also done right here in Corona. So not a lot of places can say that anymore. Everything is
Okay.
done overseas. And
So everything is in-house. You got the DynoJet, you got the bays, you got test vehicles.
Mhm.
What's the typical turnaround process? So like you get a new vehicle in, from the time you get base numbers to you actually finishing a product, what's the approximate lead time?
So our intakes can take anywhere from 3 or 4 weeks to a couple of months for prototype to be tested and go through completion. But for electronics, I think my quickest turnaround time was about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So from the day that we get the vehicle in till we get the get a running module on the vehicle, I can have everything out in about 2 weeks at the soonest. And that's due to our rapid prototyping processes, right?
Right.
Like we have a set of chips that we use. We get everything that we need, and off we go. So
Fail fast. I covered that in the intakes. Our fearless leader, Nick, has always said, just push it to the envelope. And when you get that check engine light, dial it back.
Yep.
So what was that application, by the way, that you turned around in 2 weeks?
that was the so the new Tundra that we had, right? We had the
That
new
thing makes some
Tundra.
serious power.
Yes.
That
92 horsepower and 154 pounds-feet of torque.
Yeah. So one of our co-owners, Stuart Megishima, he's VP of engineering. So he's a mainstay and co-founder. Like I said, he talks nothing but smack when I'm driving my 4Runner. He's rolling in his Tundra, and he's loaded. He's got a lift kit. He's got the wheels and tires on it. He's got overlanding stuff all over the tent, and he's just pulling away from me like there's no tomorrow. Granted, I mean, he's got a twin turbo, but 90 horsepower with a plug and play with a Scorcher.
Yeah, but what I'm most interested in for that application was the torque, and we were at 154
Oh
pounds-feet of
my
torque.
God. That is a tow rig. That
Yeah,
Toyota Tundra is a definite tow rig. It'll pass uphill. That's great.
and
2 weeks.
and that's a gas engine too, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have a couple other questions from people that joined us today. Again, thank you guys for submitting those questions. Hopefully, if we didn't cover it, if we don't cover it, you can send them to us during the chat, and we'll get back to you with answers. So one of the questions was about AGD, ADG, AGD, AGD. So what is that about?
So the AGD monitor is a plug-in device that you can plug into your OBD2 port, you know, and any car now, every single car out there has an OBD2 port. So
Okay.
off of that, you can, you know, you can get your fuel pressure, you can get your boost, you can get your engine coolant temperature, you know, all the relevant information that you need. For guys that tow, they need to keep an eye on their transmission temps.
Mhm.
You know, that's also monitored.
Yeah.
So
So
all
that
pretty much
pairs well with the Scorcher. So like if you're
right.
boosting, if you're running more, then the AGD can kind of send you back some real time PIDs, and you can kind of see where you're at with turbo boost if you're turboed, and fuel mileage and
Exactly.
temperatures. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
So yeah, it gives
Derek.
you all the information that the factory doesn't.
Okay.
Or instead of having to scroll through a menu on your dashboard, you can just take a look at your screen and
Okay.
everything will be there.
That's good to know. Derek Johnston from Alliance Sales up in BC, Canada. He wanted to know what some of the features and benefits are of the Scorcher.
Well, the benefits are, you know, extra horsepower and torque, you know,
Yeah.
right off the bat. That's why we have them, right?
Mhm.
But you know, the features of the electronic plug and play units is that it's a quick installation. You don't need to cut any wiring or modify your connectors. You know, you're not flashing ECUs, so your car will still remain stock as far as the dealership's concerned. You know, you can remove it in less time than you took to install it, and you know, we offer different maps for different for driving conditions.
So you do have an on-dash display, or it depends if you have like a Bluetooth model where you can actually change the settings on the fly,
Right.
or
Yeah,
okay.
that's the difference between the Scorcher GT or HD versus the Blue unit.
Okay.
They both carry the same tune, but the Bluetooth version will have an app on both the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, right?
Okay.
And you can use that to change your modes. You don't have to install the switch if you don't want to. So keep your cabin looking, you know, very stock.
Yeah.
And you can also monitor your 0 to 60 times, um, and you know, on most of them your boost level for the turbo vehicles, and you can monitor your fuel pressure for the turbo diesel applications.
So we mentioned best bang for the buck. What's the pricing like compared to like other brands? Are we kind of
So
in this same market?
yeah, we're very on par with competitors. You know, we call it, you know, like horsepower per dollar, and we're pretty up there, you know, and compared to other brands, we're not nickel and diming our customers. You know, everything's included from the get-go. So
Oh, okay.
once you buy a module, all the maps are on there. You don't have to pay us extra to get custom tunes or anything like that.
Okay. So everything's all self-contained. It's
Yep.
inclusive. What you pay is all in. Once you install it, you don't have to do any updates. Now, are there any software updates that you have to look after or anything like that? Or is it?
Yeah, so we constantly have you know, updating our tunes and things like that, and you know, over the air updates for the apps.
Okay.
So when we roll out a new vehicle, or we update a vehicle from, you know, from coverage from 2020 to 2023, those apps get updated too. So
Okay. And there's no charge
yeah,
for
we
that.
stay current. Absolutely not. There's no
Okay.
charge.
Okay, cool. Eddie from Bob Cook Sales out in Lexington, North Carolina, he wanted to know if you could use the Scorcher with other like other electronic products like the Pedal Commander or Pedal Monster.
Yeah, absolutely. So the like a pedal enhancer, as I like to call it, and a power module are two separate modules, right? Like one takes away the lag from the gas pedal, the other one gives you horsepower and torque. Now, a pedal enhancer doesn't make a car faster or have more power. It just makes the car quicker. So that's the distinction there. Yeah, so they're absolutely fine to use together. In fact, they work so well together that we actually came up with the Scorcher Plus, which ties in the power module and a pedal enhancer, all in one unit.
So there's another Scorcher on the line. So I was going to ask that question, but we have the Scorcher HD, the Scorcher GT, the Scorcher Blue, and now we have a Scorcher Plus. What's the difference?
Right. So the Scorcher GT is for gas vehicles. The Scorcher HD is that designation is reserved for the turbo diesels.
Okay.
The Scorcher Blue is either a GT or an HD, but it has Bluetooth function.
Oh, okay. Like you mentioned before, you download the app and you can change your tune.
Right. And now the Scorcher Plus is our brand new baby on the lot, and that so that has a built-in pedal enhancer, so makes the car has more horsepower and torque, and now you can also control your gas pedal and how responsive that gas pedal is going to be. So it takes away that lag completely.
So you don't have to have a Scorcher and a Pedal Commander or a Sprint Booster or any other brand of a what do you call a throttle enhancer?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all baked into one unit.
Yep.
Okay, is that a Bluetooth compatible or is that a plug and play or how's that?
It is not Bluetooth compatible right now. We are working on that until giving it Bluetooth functionality.
Okay.
But for right now, it's we have it rolled out on the Jeep applications because those guys complain the most about how laggy the throttle is. And we know Jeep guys are picky, right? And these things are sounding like hotcakes right now.
Oh, great. That's good to hear. All right.
Okay,
Ryan,
and just reminding everyone we have 5 minutes left. So just a time check.
All right. Okay, Nick, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this the speed dating style. We're gonna just go one at a time. So Ryan Bob Cook was asking about 50 state legality. Are these CARB approved or how does that work?
Yeah, so anytime we release a new product here, if that goes under a list, that goes on the list for CARB EO, right, through the state. Now everything's on the list. Everything that has been released previously, a lot of them already have CARB EO numbers. So smog is not an issue there, but on the new products, we are working on that. So they're constantly being worked on.
And as we know, it is a process. So once we apply for it, doesn't mean we get it right away. The bureaucratic wheels go into motion and we have it listed for the application, but it doesn't happen overnight. And they can come and contact AFE if they have any questions regarding that EO information. What about would a consumer expect to see a decrease in fuel mileage? I mean, I know they would with me. I mean, I'd be putting my foot into it. So
yeah. So you're not buying a power module to drive like you're going to church on a Sunday, right? But what I can say is that if your driving habits remain the same, you're not being a lead foot on the highway, then yeah, you can. We get a lot of reports from consumers saying that, hey, I actually gain more MPG while driving. So is that accurate? And I was like, yeah, it is. It's just not something that we advertise because we don't want to mislead the consumer into thinking this is a gas saving device.
Right. That's the same thing with exhaust. Hey, am I going to get better mileage? Well, you could if you didn't want to hear it all the time and get your foot on it. So does a Scorcher shorten the life of the transmission or drivetrain at all? Does
No,
it cause
not at all. So when we are working on the tune and the maps for these modules, we actually look at the dynograph and we tune that to the RPMs, the power output, what the transmission's looking like. So we we take all of that data into consideration while the vehicle is here on the dyno, or when we're just driving on the street, we have a monitor hooked up to it, and we make sure that we're not damaging anything.
So you mentioned that they're easy to install. They give you best bang for your buck. They give you the optimum power, optimize the power from the engines, PIDs, and the diagnostics. And you mentioned it does not void the warranty, and it's easy enough to remove and replace. They also work really well with other products. So I'm going to give you a worst case scenario. What if somebody installs it on their own or has something, maybe a tune on their vehicle, and they get a check engine light? What should a customer do if they get a CEL?
So, first things first, whatever you did to it, the last thing that you did to it, go back and check your work, right? Yeah. The modules, if you installed it incorrectly, you can't get a check engine light. So just give us a call. And I mean, we're always working on getting clear instructions out to the customers. But if you're having issues with it, don't return it. Give us a call, and you actually go straight to me, and I will go over your pictures. I'll even FaceTime you if I need to, and we can go over your install together, and I can troubleshoot it without you having to ship the unit back to us. This is Scorcher Blue. I'll send you a new tune.
Yeah. So how could you resist an offer like that? You get Nick Locke, your personal valet, to help you troubleshoot by process of elimination your Scorcher if you get a check engine light. Do you have like do you get common questions like, hey, I got a certain P code or something through a check engine light? Is it usually install error or user error?
Yeah. Usually if you turn on your car after installation, you get a check engine light. 99% is an incorrect installation. Maybe you reverse a connector, or you left something disconnected while you're trying to get to the correct connectors. So most of the time it's something very simple.
Okay. I think I covered most of the questions we have. T, how are we doing on time? Looks like we're coming.
We have a minute left, but
okay.
If you guys want to go a couple minutes over, and if you need to leave, we understand. The whole webinar will be recorded, sent to your email afterwards, then uploaded to our dealer resource site, which I'll send in the chat right now.
Did you move? Your background changed. You're moving around. Stay put. Okay, we did have some last minute questions in there too. One was from Alan at Dick's Performance. He wanted to know if would these be viable for like a fleet service? Like if you have a 5-ton fleet service, how large of a cab and chassis are you able to download or utilize the Scorcher to? So is there any weight capacity or load capacity on the Scorcher?
No, the only thing we ask is that you don't run the module in race mode if you're going to be towing something heavy.
That's great advice. Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yep. Only run in Sport and Sport Plus. Don't run in race.
Okay. And so for those who don't know the Scorcher Plus, what's the code? The green is stock, I believe.
Green is stock. Yellow is Sport. Sport Plus is orange, and race, all out race mode is red. And that's what we call the fun mode.
So Nick, do you have one on your car?
I do. Currently
what do you run it at? What do you run it at? Do you run it in race mode all the time?
I run it in race mode all day, every day. Yeah.
And that's in your daily, right?
Yep. I drive a giant refrigerator, my Jeep. It's a 4xe. And I hated how it felt from the factory. Like it is a dog. So first thing I did, my second day of owning it, I put on my own product.
Nice. Yeah. So you stand behind your own product, you developed it and you run it. That's great to hear. Not too many people do that these days, let alone have it done here in sunny Southern California in the good old USA.
If you're local, come down.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sorry for you.
Test drive.
Really quick, I want to get there was a really good question that we had from Fahad from Boost. And let's get that. That was a submission we got this morning, at least this morning in California time. It was what are the conditions needed to reach the highest amount of horsepower for the Scorcher? I know we get this question sometimes, you know, whether the fuel matters and all that, if it works with other parts, etc.
So my recommendation when you're running a turbo gas, sorry, application is 91 octane, right? If the factory allows you to run 87 in your car, you can, but to get the most out of it, 91 octane. And for the Hyundai and Kia guys, you're gonna look at changing out the spark plugs to HKS spark plugs. That's not a design of the Scorcher, but the spark plugs from the Hyundai and Kia factories are pretty weak and they're prone to breaking off. So even if you're not running a Scorcher, replace those spark plugs.
Awesome. And then one last question. We have a question from Fred from Parts ID. This is a question I personally see coming in on social is, are these recommended for your DIY customers? And I know that's a question all across the industry. You know, one thing that AFE Power prides ourselves on is, you know, you don't have to we don't have to take one of our intakes to the shop to get it installed. We try to make it so you could do it on your own. So Locke, if you want to kind of go into you know, how we try to make the installation process easy and all that stuff, is it recommended for a DIY customer? Do they have to take it to a shop?
No, I never recommend a customer to take a vehicle to a shop ever. You know, if they're having some misgivings about trying to install it themselves, I'll say, hey, you know what, give me a call. We'll go over the instructions and I'll tell you where to find it. Like the way that we design our power modules is for the DIY customers. That's who we start with. We don't believe in anyone having to pay to get these things installed. And you know, with shops charging $150, at least $150 per hour for labor, it just doesn't make sense for a $400 product to be installed at, you know, $300. That just does not make sense to me. So I strongly advise you to do it yourself.
Okay, very good. But you could take it to a shop and have them install it, have a professional install it, save some time, save some headache, especially if you're having other things done, like if you're getting an intake installed or you're getting a lift kit put in at a suspension shop. You know, I know where you're coming for free. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that you make it so simple that the shop is kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and install it for you. But the shop benefits because they can offer the installation for a low minimum fee or no charge and still profit off, obviously, the product itself. So, and trust me, the customers will come back with nothing but rave reviews because it is a really good bang for your buck product, performance product. I personally don't have one on my 4Runner yet, Locke. I'm waiting for mine.
I actually have yours right here, Mike.
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna throw that on there with a throttle body, and I'll give you my unbiased opinion.
Yeah, just don't get mad at me when you're spending more money on gas.
Not a problem. It's miles per hour. It's not the gallons.
Yeah.
All right. Got anything else? Are we gonna wrap it up?
I think we'll wrap it up.
Right.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. I put a couple links in this meeting chat on the Scorcher product page, the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act. We do have a really awesome YouTube video of showing the installation of the Scorcher Blue on the Tundra. Even though it is the Tundra, we kind of made the video general so that it can apply to a lot of DIY installations. That's on our YouTube channel. We also just uploaded something on our Instagram where we show cycling through the different modes. So we try to keep some resources on our social media. And this will be sent to you via email afterwards, a recording. And if you want to share it with anyone else at your organization, it will be uploaded probably later today to our dealer resource site. So I put that link in here as well. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Taryn.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Nick.
me.
Thanks for the time. Awesome. Good information. So thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Stay tuned. We'll have another webinar coming up here shortly. You guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.